Today we're going to make a homemade microscope. To make one, we need a few things. One is a clear plastic container that fruits from the grocery store come in with. You will also need aluminum foil to bounce light onto your samples, a mason jar of any size that will be our microscope base, and a hole puncher. First, we need to finish the fruits and clean the plastic container of any stickers. Then we need to cut 3 pieces. One big square that will serve as our lens, and 2 smaller pieces of the same size that will hold our specimen. Just be careful when you're cutting this plastic. It might be tough at first, so watch those fingers definitely. So now we should have 3 pieces in total, 1 big piece and 2 smaller pieces of plastic. Our next step is to take the big piece of plastic and punch a hole through that. Punching this hole into your cutout may require a little bit of force, so definitely be careful. Once we punch that hole into that big piece of plastic, the next step is to grab the aluminum foil and create a reflector for our microscope. So we just measure out aluminum foil the size of a printer paper. Next is we fold this in halves until we get something that fits into our mason jar. Now this is an important step. We want to position the aluminum foil at an angle so that it can reflect light from the side all the way up to the bottom of that mason jar. Next step is to find samples, whether that be some dirt in your backyard or some rainwater outside. Collect some that we can use. Once we have our samples, all we need to do is dissolve it in water and then sandwich it between the 2 smaller pieces of plastic that we cut out earlier. The samples are now ready to be put onto our microscope. We put it on top of that inverted mason jar, and then we place our light on the side to reflect off that aluminum foil. Lastly, pour water on the big piece of plastic we cut out earlier in order to create our lens by trapping a droplet onto that hole. Get the water droplet close to your eye and adjust how close your eye is to the sample. This may take some time before you're able to look at your samples, but adjust around the placement of your lens and how far you are from your samples. With this homemade microscope, we can look at dirt really close, and if you're lucky, see a little insect floating around in the water. And that is how you can make a mini microscope at home with items already in your house. Make sure to clean up and wash your hands after this experiment. Happy imaging!